this the case of "Don't leave me," a message to Prince Harry from, of course, his wife Meghan Markle, the former cable TV actress? All coming up. Hi, good morning, Neil Sean here in the heart of London. Thanks so much for joining me today. Nice to have your company as ever. Lovely to see you. By the way, I must just say something happened to me yesterday, and I don't know if this has happened to you yet, but you know, you're getting a little bit vintage, shall we say. I was talking to one of the very much younger members of the staff, and I said, oh yeah, I bought that when it was a 45, and then I got the coloured 12-inch vinyl. They looked at me like a drop from outer space, and they said, what? And I said, oh, you know, vinyl record, 45, 12-inch single. No, his he used was, I'm from Generation Z. I thought that was a group, or is that Generation X? As ever, completely baffling in this brand new world, isn't it? All those things you've got to get. I just remember buying 7 and 12-inch records, sometimes the cheap ones from Woolworths. Did you ever do that? You know, when you couldn't afford the real ones. And then being so excited just to play them at home, driving your mum and dad nuts. As ever though, back to your breaking story of the day. The particular story centres on the forthcoming visit, of course, of Harry and Meghan to the Netherlands. Sadly, they couldn't make it over here to the United Kingdom. Wasn't too safe for the memorial, all that sort of stuff. There are rumours that they may be making a flying visit over to England. I'm not quite sure about that because obviously security hasn't been resolved yet with the Metropolitan Police. And of course, no one in security at Windsor Castle or Kensington Palace has been informed of this. I check these things, that's why I do this job. I don't sit around, I get out and about, looking into the bigger stories for you. But why is Meghan now apparently very worried about being left alone? And why has she decided not to leave Prince Harry alone? Well, it's all down to this. According to a very good source, Meghan didn't want to be left behind in California. She said that while she doesn't feel unsafe, and this is ever, we have to say allegedly, she simply didn't want to be left alone for all that period. Now this of course was a golden handshake to their employers Netflix, because they get double the whammy of PR. You know, Meghan no doubt will be wearing some concoction of outfit, couture, perhaps trying to showcase that. And then of course you've got Prince Harry, who just instantly gets publicity, good and bad, from whatever he's doing. Of course the Invictus Games is part of their package deal because they are making a documentary all about that, which is going to be released later this year. We also told you there's going to be a behind the scenes film as well. So I think that could be quite interesting, you know, to see exactly the planning. I mean, we know it's all set up because, let's be honest, you know, I've worked on these productions, I know exactly what goes into them. But I do kind of think if you are Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, it will be interesting to see some sort of background detail on how they are producing content for the very first time. But why didn't Meghan want to be left behind? Well, according to that good source, she simply couldn't stand to be away from Prince Harry for all of that time. As we know, they've bunkered down together now for quite a long period over in California, no doubt feeding their chickens, reading the bench, and doing other things to keep themselves occupied, possibly taking over the world. Do you remember Pinky and the Brain, the cartoon? Yes. But on a serious note, it does appear that they don't want to be away from each other. And as I say, this is a very clever move for Netflix and indeed for Harry and Meghan. Perhaps they're realising that together they are more of a unit and, more importantly, can gather more headlines. Now, what's also interesting is, and we can tell you this first and exclusive on the show, they are going to be condoning a few interviews, allegedly, out with the media in the Netherlands once it's all been approved. So expect it to be some glossy or highbrow newspaper. Certainly won't be a tabloid, as we know they don't want to speak to them. But of course, as I've told you before here on the show, it's interesting to note that if they want to sell things moving forward, they have to appeal to all brands. And all brands basically means everything from the TV guide to the best red top selling tabloid newspaper. So if Harry and Meghan do want to make this Invictus documentary a big success, then they have to consider all of those things. Let's not also forget to wish everybody well who's taking part in this documentary. It will mean a lot to some of those people who are taking part. They won't be pushed into the politics of it, so do note that. Obviously, it now does appear that finally Harry and Meghan are as one, totally inseparable. As ever, when I know more, you'll know more. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.